were diaspora issues addressed? There was an issue that kept coming up in the Matiang'i meeting, town hall, and the Gachagua, the issue of Kenyans purchasing land and being duped.
Mafuroti.
Yes, that
Maguta.
Yes, that kept coming up. Was it addressed?
Yeah, that was my question. I mean, it was mentioned, or the question was asked, but was it addressed?
I don't think that question is ever going to be addressed.
So now,
with any presidential candidate that's coming in here,
I mean, they did say
land issues of buying land in Kenya, land cartels are run by politicians. So again, it stems back to issue that affects masomo, education, healthcare, vile anasema. When corruption is weeded out and everything comes out, then and there's no more land corruption. All these land cartels that steal land are tied to simple politicians. Like you will always find there's a politician name within a land scandal in Kenya. And it's the same people who do the same land scandals. So unless this vitu zinafaa kutoka Kenya, wash, gold scam, wash, mineral scam, and land scam. Once we take those tatu, we will have made a big dent on corruption and allow things to flow. But as long as there's land corruption, no politician that will come here will stop you from being conned when it comes to buying land or buying property.
So Nona, issue a land, for example, one of the reasons why it comes up in a lot of these meetings, but it's never comprehensively addressed, has to do with how these town halls are set up. And I have a very big problem with all the town halls. Mr. Mwaura, what wali organize. Yes, the people who organized yes, good. The people who organized Gachagwa's the people who organized Gachagwa's event, we need to do these town halls differently. Whatever was being done, and I'm gonna say this in a very polite way.
So let's put a question. What went well and what didn't kwenye town halls? And I'm gonna moja.
So as far as impact is concerned, these town halls, they are more beneficial to those politicians than they are to us in the diaspora. Because if you want to follow up like what was said in Matiang'i's town hall or in Gachagwa's, and is there a point of contact to follow up? There's absolutely nothing. Once event imeisha, you know, like people are gone and that's it. People socialize, they meet, they have a good time, and it's gone. But that part of the problem is because of how these events are set up. So one of the things that could be done differently to help for accountability purposes is when these events are being set up, there needs to be some kind of public participation. So people are very good at reaching people whenever they need money for weddings and whenever they need money for funerals. They know how to reach people widely.
Oh, yeah.
So using that same strategy, have public participation. You know, like in 3 months, Matiang'i is going to be coming. What exactly do you want? So that there's already input. There's already, you know, like things that are coming in from the community before the event is set up. Another thing, there also has to be now. But
I think in Matiang'i they did that. At least we'll go up now questions, right?
No, I'm saying before the event, public participation before the event. See, tulijua when we saw the flyer. We knew about the event when we saw the flyer. Or I don't know, kama we bandio, you have inside sources.
No, I'm just saying. I thought somebody stood up and said.
Okay, the Matiang'i compared. If I'm doing comparison, the Matiang'i event was slightly well structured. Was well structured compared to the Gachagua event, and this is why I say so. Hizo Kikuyu gospel azikuimbwa kwa at least me I didn't find them singing that.
No, there was.
They positioned, you know, Matiang'i used nationalistic language. He kept saying Kenyans, right? The only mistake that the Matiang'i did is, first of all, he came late. It's his town hall. He should not be late. Number two, they asked that people send in their questions.
How late?
On Hey, he was late because he got there. They like what 6?
No, he was
and
late. He was fairly late.
He was
Yeah.
fairly late,
Yeah.
How
and that was
late?
Like,
Mpaka tulizimiwa
I
taa.
think 2 hours.
tulizimiwa taa.
was
He
It
was
absolutely
was
super
not. It
late.
was not 2 hours,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
think
yeah.
at least an
Yeah.
hour
And
and
I
a
don't
half.
know
one
if
and a
that
half,
was
yeah.
by design or not. I'm just wondering. And because they said to put the questions in a Google form.
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen that personally. I've seen that trick in the book back in the day in different situations where people tell you put questions in the Google form. We will ask them on the day of the town hall. They drag. And then won't
And
ask
then they'll
any
give
question.
10 minutes for the questions.
And
At the end
so
of
in
the
the
event.
Matiang'i event, they said we have 70. They say 70
Yeah, they
questions,
said 70
but we
questions.
will only ask one. How will you manage the Gen Zs? You know.
So
And it
70
was-
questions were summarized into one.
And for me, it looked like they were trying to, because if it's a town hall, you need to give the candidate a chance to have an interaction to answer those questions. But if you're trying to protect this candidate by shielding him from questions, you're actually making him look worse.
You're doing a disservice.
You're doing a disservice to him.
So I was
And
saying
that was another reason why Gen Zs, we were concerned. We were like, if this man doesn't want to be asked questions, if this is the way he's moving.
but you see the
that's
problem.
dictatorship. Also
The
a
problem
dictatorship
is that there was 15,077 people who made submissions before Matiang'i, about things that were unrelated. There were so many people. I even lost count. Before Matiang'i spoke.
15,000.
There were so many, like everybody was giving their speech and their story.
Oh.
So I think
He lost me
Yeah.
in that
He
before.
lost me.
I was like,
there were just so many people. I lost count.
Yeah.
I lost count of how many people there were. So there were so many people who came before. So, the engagement was given very small time. I think this event should be flipped, whereby 90% of the time should be engagement and maybe 10% should be a chance to the candidate to speak. And how we do that, rather than have an MC,
define engagement.
have a moderator.
Okay.
Rather than an MC.
That will make it real town hall.
Yes,
Yeah.
make it a real town hall. Have a moderator rather than an MC, whereby, there's some questions, maybe those 70 questions, there's a way some of the questions are repeated. There's a way of structuring them. You can reduce them to 10, 15 solid questions to address the questions that came in from people who are not there, who brought them online. And then, even during the event, you can have maybe a certain number, certain key people who will be given the mic to ask questions, and then you also have to give a chance to random people. But this can only happen when there's enough time for engagement. It cannot be the last 20 minutes when wale watu hoteli wamethreaten kuja hapo kuzima lights, then hapo ndo mnaanza kuharakisha watu kuuliza maswali. In fact, when Val, like I was seated close to her, when Val was going to ask a question. I mean, I don't know whether the Matiang'i team is listening to this, Baba Maura. If you didn't know this,
Bado yupo kwenye line.
yeah, Baba Maura, if you did not know this, there was actually some activity that was happening, and I know this because I've been to a lot of these events. There were people who are trying to block her from asking that question, and I think if she didn't stand up and say that we have to ask this question, and then Matiang'i said, okay, let us ask the question, there were people who are like planning to block her. So I don't know whether it was because they were afraid of the red beret or if it was the t-shirt with a fist. I don't know what it was, but there was an attempt to stop her from asking the question. It could have been time, I don't know.
But those things are always stage managed. They need to stop doing that stage managing stuff.
Sisi tunafikirianga ni town hall na si town hall.
But sasa ndo nasema,
Don't advertise it as such.
ndo nasema,
No. Yeah, juu imeadvertise ka town hall.
Yes.
But lakini imeadvertise ka town hall, but we all know in reality hizi vitu zokuwa more of kind of sort of a meet and greet. And then also we have to find out, does this come from the politicians or the organizers, right? Because
yeah.
ukiangalia there's our politicians wamekaa mara mingi wakataka kukuja wakatuambia wanataka kuongea na Wakenya, and then we've always been fronted, they've been fronted to us, and then they run away because when they realize uko outer guide conversation vile itakuwa, they run away and they will go and to more friendlier platforms where they can feel like they can control the narrative of how they are. So does this come from the politicians or does this come from the handlers? Because I will tell you one thing, mimi mtu ainiona kwa hizo town hall, Kwa sababu to me, I usually see them as a waste of time. There's no benefit I'm going to get from those town halls. Nikitaka kuona Rigiji ndaingia YouTube ama itakuwa na mate yangi ndaingia YouTube.
There's points kutoka hapo.
Kwa sababu at the end of the day, they are so guided, they are so controlled that there is no meaningful conversation you have. You're better off running into Matiang'i at Swahili Village and have a conversation with him there than kwa hiyo town hall.
Can I say something? And that is one of the things we as the 625 movement want to change. You know, politicians can just be coming here and then they just come for the sake of coming. And then all we do is just give them money to propel their agenda. There has to be, it has to, lazima kukuwe na produce, lazima kukuwe na kitu inaproduciwa kwa hizi townhalls. Lazima we have to, and that's what we are doing. We are challenging these systems that have been there for a while. And if we don't keep doing this, we will go back to the same ways.